Row the Stage.
Patrick Bateman.
Peter Michaels.
Here for another week, another go at this, eh?
Yeah, and before we move on to this week, I just have to say I don't know if you got to really pay attention to it, but did you hear the very end of last week's episode with Mitch from Born Ruffians?
Refresh my memory.
Well, you dropped Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a glorious Wednesday.
Is it a glorious
yeah.
Wednesday?
It's a glorious Wednesday.
All right.
And so
Of
is
course
today.
it is. Like, why? Like, you surprised at that?
No, but it's a special one.
Okay.
It's a special one.
Okay.
I think that's fair to say.
Probably never duplicated.
No, definitely not. But today's also a glorious Wednesday. New the Road the Stage here at Communal Creative Studios.
So as we record this, we're like 3-4 days past the tragedy at Astroworld.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen this question asked a little bit, and I know you were part of a really, really large crowd one time. Did you ever feel unsafe in...
You're talking about Sarstock?
So you were at Sarstock with
half a million people.
And how many were at Astroworld?
Well, I think they were supposed to be 50K, and then I believe the last number I saw was 100.
Okay.
Which is a significant difference.
Yes.
I don't know if there's actually been a total that's been released, but no, I did not feel unsafe. Part of that is because I had just finished grade 6. So it's not like we were pretty far back.
Right.
It was a relaxing kind of field festival part of the stage where we were.
You were up on shoulders watching.
For some of it, for sure. Yeah. But there were enough screens and stuff. We did have binoculars, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had binoculars. But it's funny you bring that up. I didn't think about this till now. Justin Timberlake was attacked at that show. You can actually see people chucking water bottles at him and him dancing his way out of water bottles.
Is that right?
Yeah. Poor guy.
Because he was on...
He was on early in the day. He was
it was like late afternoon.
Yeah, and immediately after, like, I think he had just put out that album with Crimea River or whatever it was.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, he's just fresh into his solo career. But I don't remember anything bad happening with crowds there.
Yeah, I remember. Well, that's like, I was curious to know your thoughts, because I think the biggest crowd I've probably been in would be like a Commonwealth Stadium crowd, which is maybe 60,000.
Yeah. I mean, the size of the crowd doesn't matter.
I guess
you could
true.
be, I mean, I was thinking about, not the greatest example, but when Pup played Bose, there's an awesome pit happening. And I got in there for the first time in a few years. My girlfriend got in there for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why is because no one was out to hurt each other.
Right.
And I'm not saying that people at Astroworld were out to hurt each other, but they certainly didn't appear to be looking after each other, which is a huge, huge factor in pretty much any pit that I've encountered.
And that's what I love about the Pup shows, specifically Pup, I think, is I don't know that I've seen a crowd go more maniacal than that, right? Just the bouncing, the thrashing. But it is 100% everybody's taking care of everybody else.
Yeah, no one wants... And you know, I've been to a few shows in a certain...
But all it takes is one guy. Like...
Oh, yeah.
It just takes one...
If that guy's making enough of a fuss...
I guess there's enough
people
to jump in.
to say, hey, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Now, there are some, genres, subgenres in hardcore that are a little aggressive in the way that they deal at that kind of aggression that I really don't care for. But I don't know.
Is it dissimilar from Woodstock 99?
See, I don't know anything about Woodstock 99. What happened there?
Very similar type of event, I think, where, and I do believe, I think it was Limp Bizkit ended up getting some of the heat for inciting.
Oh, did they? Shocking.
Yeah, shocking. But, fires being set out in the crowd.
Right.
That's
an issue.
And I mean, just the bands that were on stage were very loud, heavy, aggressive, angry bands that didn't help calm things, for sure.
What was Altamont?
So Altamont
Or am I thinking of Montreux?
No, Altamont is where the Hells Angels
started beating people up.
That's right.
Because they were hired as security.
The Stones
for the
hired
Stone
them as
show.
security.
Right.
And one person died.
Is that what Smoke on the Water's about, or that's totally different?
Smoke on the Water is Montreux.
What happened there?
So that's the Montreux Jazz Festival, which is in Switzerland?
Sure.
Some other place.
Over there?
Yes, and I forget what it was, something that had caught on fire close to the festival.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't malicious.
It wasn't. I don't recall that one being malicious.
Right. Yeah, Altamont definitely was.
Altamont was 100%.
At a time,
malicious.
too, when the Hells Angels were like the devil.
Right.
Right?
Actually,
ever read that book?
I talked to a guy who was there.
Holy shit.
So when I was in San Francisco a few weeks ago,
yeah.
I ended up talking to a guy that was at the ball game with us, and he was, we got to talking. He was about 72 years old, same age as my dad, so we kind of similarities there. And so we talked about baseball a lot, and then he got into music and talking about all the bands that he saw. He was a lifelong San Francisco resident, and Altamont wasn't far from that. So I was like, I was at this concert, Altamont, at the Rolling Stones. I'm like, you were at Altamont? He's like, you know Altamont?
Yeah,
I'm like, well, how do you not know Altamont? And so same thing as like what you said, you were back quite a ways at Sarstock. He was quite a ways away from where all of that went down.
Yeah.
But he said he just remembers the panic and the kind of pandemonium that sets in as that word starts to travel through a massive crowd.
Yeah. It's interesting because that thing happened at Astroworld. People are seriously hurt. People are taken advantage of. Doesn't appear anything was done to stop it. And, in my head, I'm like, okay, well, did Travis Scott not know what was going on? Is it his responsibility to kind of take it upon himself to stop that? Were they not staffed enough? Were they not prepared for that many people? Like, there's so many different people that could be held responsible. And then 24 hours later, there's countless clips of the exact same sort of thing happening at a million other shows, and you realize how easy it looks and probably is to appropriately deal with incidents like that.
Right.
Like clips there were so many clips. I was even like, oh, no one shared this one. Like there's one
now,
Radiohead
specifically
clip.
of bands kind of putting the calming
seeing
the waters,
seeing
and
something happen in the crowd and like acting on it immediately.
Yeah.
And that did not happen at Astroworld. It's a damn shame.
This story just popped into my head. I saw the Foo Fighters in Montana one time.
Yeah.
And that exact same thing. There was a guy causing a problem in the crowd, and Dave saw it, stopped the show. The guy they couldn't get security to him.
Yeah.
So Dave actually turned the tables a little bit and said, you know what? If that's how you want to behave, no, sorry, it was Pearl Jam. Actually, it was Pearl Jam. And he's like, you know what? Come on up. Come on. We got a seat right over here for you. Come on up. And the guy did actually jump over the barrier, and then security hauled him out. And Eddie's like, I was just fucking with him. There was no way he was getting up on this stage.
Okay, so can I just quickly tell you a little Pearl Jam story I heard?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
No, but I know your thoughts on Pearl Jam, so I don't know if I'll necessarily
I'm not a PJ fan by any means, and I was definitely influenced against them as a youngster. Because someone had once told me, and oh man, I wish it was true. It's probably not true. But someone had once told me that they're at a show, and there's a moment when Eddie saw something happening in the crowd. Stop the music. Did exactly what we're talking about. You have to do that. Stop the music like there's an emergency happening, and then the music stops, and he is from the stage trying to make sure that someone in the crowd is all right. Okay? A couple minutes goes by, whatever. And it's all fine. Okay, let's go. Let's keep the show going. Everyone's happy, blah, blah, blah. And then he says that he saw him do it at the next show or 2 shows later in a different city at the same time of the show during the same song. The exact same spiel.
I'm not in my heart of hearts going to believe that
I know you won't.
I'm not going to believe that happens.
I doubt it's true, but goddamn, if it was, that would be so funny. Anyways, I think if we want to wrap this specific conversation up, it appears that you can't always rely on security and event management and the artists and the people, the overseers on the stage. Obviously you can't rely on them 100% of the time to take care of the people in the crowd, which means that you have to.
Yep, 100%.
And it's not that hard.
And we've seen it happen. Like, again, Pup is a great example. It gets crazy in there.
I've been kicked in the head a couple times, but it wasn't on purpose.
Not on purpose.
Just having fun.
Yeah.
Weird fun. Anyways.
Well, from sad and devastating concert news, our podcast episode, our guest that we're about to get into, just announced.
As an opener.
As an opener. That's right. Coming up in December.
July Talk announced Cadence Weapon, our guest today, as their opener for Calgary and Edmonton, their shows in the province.
Handpicked?
December 18th and 19th, 100%.
Handpicked.
Peter from July Talk wrote a really nice note about discovering Cadence Weapon years and years ago in Edmonton, which I assume meant that they knew each other.
Right.
We're going to find out if that's true or not. But I've also been really, we've tried to book this interview for 6 months. Long time.
Yes.
So much so that I was worried.
He's really in demand. I mean,
Yeah.
There's
just
a lot
won the Polaris Music Prize.
Yeah, and he's got a lot to say about current situations in our province and where he's living now in Ontario.
From Edmonton originally, and it was a fun time.
All right, before we get into our chat with Cadence Weapon, big shout out to Beau's Bar and Stage.
Yeah.
Sawback Brewing Company.
Mm-hmm.
Tourism Red Deer.
Go Services Inc.
Our good friends at Go Services Inc.
And Communal Creative Studios, where we are right now.
To talk to Cadence Weapon.
Yo.
Rollie, Cadence Weapon, how's it going?
Good. How you doing? Sorry I'm late, fellas.
It's all good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm amazing.
Nice and rested from your tour?
Sort of.
Sort of. When did you get back?
Yeah. I got back, well, time for me now is only a mere suggestion. I got back on Tuesday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Monday. I got back on Monday.
And how was it?
Oh, it was really amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing to be playing in front of people who are allowed to stand and dance and all that, and be back in America. I hadn't been there for like 2 years. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it looked like fun. You and who are you touring with?
I was touring with Fat Tony.
Right. Is he also Canadian or?
No, he's from Houston.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's from we kind of joke because like me being from Edmonton, like they're very similar. They're like a mirror image of each other. Houston and Edmonton, I found.
Yeah, can you delve into that a little bit, because I think the joke out here has always been, and we are in Red Deer, in case you weren't aware.
Yeah.
The joke that, as someone who moved from Toronto 10 years ago, is that Alberta is Canada's Texas. So,
of course.
And I think there are many ways we could probably talk for a long time about why that might actually be the case. But what do you see? What are the similarities between Houston and Edmonton?
Well, when I played there, I was just really amazed because the layout of the city is quite similar.
Oh, okay.
Like the buildings kind of look the same. like I was tripping. But obviously there's like the oil connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like just I think maybe Houston is to Edmonton as maybe like Dallas is to Calgary or something.
Okay.
And it's like also the way people in Texas, they just have it's their own thing, it's their own vibe. And it's quite separate from the rest of America. And I feel like Alberta is like that too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Were the protocols at shows in Texas different than other cities you were at in the States?
Yeah, they were different because they didn't have any. The rest of the shows you had to be vaccinated to be there. But I think it was one of those things where they were like, the artist can choose. And I actually didn't realize that until we were at the show. Oh, so they didn't really like make, safety was not like paramount.
Okay.
At the time.
So what about, but did you play Florida at all?
No, I was supposed to play like a college show in Tallahassee, but it didn't end up happening. And it's like, I'm really actually quite thankful it didn't.
Yeah, man.
Maybe the rest of the tour wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Interesting. No rules in Texas. Ultimate freedom then.
Yeah. But you can tell depending on the cities, like certain cities were more chill than other ones, like Austin was, more, is a more artsy kind of place. And, people, the thing that I noticed in a lot of places in America is just like masks suggested.
Mm-hmm.
We recommend you wear a mask.
Right.
It's like, no one is going to tell you to wear one.
Right.
But, whereas like, in Austin, it would have been like kind of like weird if you didn't wear a mask inside somewhere. Whereas like, but you go to like Houston or San Antonio and it's like, no one even like talks about a mask.
Yeah. Austin seems, I've never been to Texas before, but Austin is such a fascinating place to me because it does seem like it's kind of this center for progressive content creators compared to other parts of the southern states. But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, but is it really about this culture, this community being a little more progressive, or is it just because it's a great place to not have to pay too many taxes?
Well, I mean, that doesn't hurt. The tax thing, I think, is a reason why a lot of these companies go there. But, Austin just has a long history of just being kind of an artistic, kind of left-leaning, their whole thing is like, keep Austin weird.
Right.
That's like their town slogan. I feel like Austin is kind of like the, it's like if White Ave was just a big city,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But when I was compared to the last time I was there, like I often go there for South by Southwest Music Festival, and compared to the last time I went there, it was like it seemed like there's significantly more people. It seems like lots of people are moving from like California and like other states, and it's like there's this kind of tech gold rush or something, and it was just like there's like way more traffic. Like I was like, okay, Austin's like popping.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems that way. But again, it's that like. You see all these big names, a lot of them in tech, who are moving there, and you're like, okay, it's got to be because of the taxes. It's like Joe Rogan can bitch all he wants about California and whatnot, but I got to assume that house that he bought in Austin is just a lot nicer on the wallet at the end of the year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but I was even thinking that about Alberta is like the taxes are so much less than in Ontario.
Yeah, you're right. So when are you moving back?
Well, I'm going to be back for the holidays, and I was thinking while I'm back there, maybe it's a good time to get a new MacBook. Because it's a little cheaper,
Car, computer,
let me just run it up, get my new phone, like get all that while I was back home for Christmas.
We were wondering, like, were you born in Edmonton?
Yeah, born and raised.
Okay.
Yeah.
For and then you lived there until what like your 20s before you went to Montreal?
Yeah, I lived there until around like 2010-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I moved to Montreal. I lived there for like 5 or 6 years, and then I've been in Toronto ever since.
And family's all still back in Edmonton then, mostly?
Yeah, pretty much my whole family. Like my sister lives in New York, and so I got to see her for the first time in like 18 months. Or
Wow.
Crazy. Like the last time was Christmas 2019.
Ugh.
Isn't that weird? Like to really, because my family, we were big on doing like group like Zooms, like, and we'd like stay in touch a lot. So it felt like I was seeing her a lot, but I was like, wow, we haven't like hung out.
Yeah. I think again, that just like exemplifies how important human connection is face to face. Because you can Zoom, you can do this kind of stuff all the time and be connected and talk, but there's just nothing replaces being face to face.
Yeah,
that's for sure. And now that I've been like in real life so much and like playing shows for real people, now people are like, hey, do you want to like perform at this like virtual festival? I'm like, absolutely not. No,
I'm done.
Please, no,
chapter closed.
No, there's nothing worse I can imagine. It's like, it's so vibeless. It's like, well, like I hope the people in the chat like this performance. Like it's like, oh, this is just brutal.
It worked in some cases for you specifically, though. I know on the Zola's track you featured on. Is this where you were sitting for that recording?
Yeah, for the music video. Well, for the video.
Yeah,
I recorded it I went to the studio.
Okay.
To run that,
but that worked out. That was fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of cool because it's like we all just had to get creative, and we're artists, right? So it's like, creativity in different ways, whether it's not just the music, but it's like, how can we present, how can we deal with like this very unique circumstance, right? So it was kind of like, that was one of the things I got into Twitch. Like I started like DJing on Twitch.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, like I was doing it every week in last winter, really. I mean, I was calling it Quarantunes.
Nice.
And that was like, I would just go online, like search for new tracks and just, digging through like getting like obscure random like 70s Japanese pop songs and stuff, and just like vibing out with like my like most diehard fans. And it was really fun. And it was like the one of the like things that really got me through the winter, I think.
Are you still streaming on Twitch?
Occasionally, like I still have my radio show on ISO Radio, which is like this internet radio station.
Okay.
And so I'll go to the studio here in Toronto and like I'll stream it through my Twitch.
Oh.
But and I'm actually doing that again. I do it on like the first Wednesday of every month. But over the winter I've decided maybe after I get the new MacBook
in Alberta,
I'll be doing some Twitch streams again, because my old computer, I think it actually killed my computer. Actually.
Oh yeah, you need some power.
Yeah.
Did you see what Danny Brown did? I think it was on Friday night on Twitch.
No, what did he do?
So he's been Twitch streaming for off and on for a few years. Like when he's not writing or in the studio or touring, he'll sit down and play some games, and it's a lot of fun. But the other night, he streamed live in front of an audience. So
what do you mean?
Like he spent, I think it was 4 hours. He played some game. I don't know what game it was, on a stage in front of a live audience.
Really?
Yeah, man. Like,
oh, okay.
And it looked like a really good time. So yeah, you've got your followers, your subscribers on Twitch who are going to, if they're subscribed properly, they get the notification that you went live, and then you can hop on and have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And you just, for one night, you can take that to the next level and actually go and watch.
How big of a room is he in? Like how many in the audience?
I don't know what the venue was. I don't know how much tickets were. I just know that there was a live audience, and he was saying on stream, like, no one is doing this. This is like, it's like a bizarre meta that I can't even properly process right now.
That's actually pretty cool. Like, cool. I never really thought of that. It's kind of like when like people from podcasts go and do like a live taping.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
You know, which is, you have to be a super fan to go to that. I think.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, it's like, well, the people, I don't know if you guys get this, but like people become so obsessed with podcasts, right?
Big time.
Like and I know I do with my favorite podcasts, and it's kind of like, like we would totally be friends, and like, I'm going to go see them if they come to my town. I get the t-shirt and stuff. Like,
yeah.
Do you guys have like super fans like that?
Oh, it takes us hours to get out of the building when we're done.
Oh yeah,
like it's just the throngs of people in the back alley.
They're not actually fans though. They're just there. No, I feel that way too. There's a few podcasts that I've listened to for literally a decade now, and you become very attached to these personalities. And I think I was telling you recently, like I'm a big fan of the WTF podcast with Mark Maron, and he had this insane moment of tragedy last summer, and it hurt. It was really, really sad.
But it's not that it's replaced television, but it's no different, right? Like how many people many people show up to watch a taping of the Tonight Show?
Yeah.
Or the Late Show, and it's really not that different.
Yeah, it's just a very filtered experience in that sense. Yeah.
I find like with the podcast is there's something very intimate about it. Like totally. I often listen to podcasts, when I'm like cooking or something.
Exactly.
And it's just like someone speaking to me. It's like, oh, they're my friends. That's how it felt like when I was during the pandemic, really during like the real lockdowns and stuff. Like I was just like making like some chicken or something. And it's just like, I'm listening to the Rick Rubin podcast. And it's like, I know Rick Rubin.
Yeah. He's my friend.
Yeah.
No, that's it's a good point. Well, I've been super eager to talk to you. We've been super eager to talk to you for a long time. And I think that right now is a great time because, first of all, you were announced as the opener for July Talk, December 18th and 20th in Calgary and Edmonton. But also you just won the Polaris Music Prize.
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Third time's a charm, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. I feel,
So now that you've won,
it's real.
Is the statement true? It's an honor just to be nominated? Now that you've got both sides of the equation, is it a true statement?
Yeah, it is still an honor to be nominated because that's what I always, my other musician friends, when they put out their records and they get on Polaris, they get on the long list. I tell you, nowadays it's harder and harder to get on there. It's harder to break through. It requires like a confluence of events, and it's got to be the right record at the right time. And it's like there's not a lot you can do to control it. So I feel like I've been nominated so much, and I've been like a part of the like Polaris universe for so long that it's like
a long time.
People were like, oh, finally, like it was like I was owed one or something. But
well, were you so you get nominated for a third time? I got to assume it's a different feeling than the first and the second. But do you prepare yourself for, like, I don't know, what's the mentality that night? Did you know before? Because you had that, you did a bit of an after show as well, right?
Oh, no, I didn't know. I had no idea. No, and the thing was, here, I'll tell you what the difference was between each time I've been nominated. So the first time it was the very first Polaris. It wasn't broadcast. It wasn't filmed. Thank God there's no evidence really of it happening.
And what was the name of the record you lost to the first time?
It was He Poos Clouds by Final Fantasy, aka Owen Power, who has become a really good friend of mine since then. But it's He Poos Clouds beat my record, Breaking Kayfabe. And so that one I was super young too. Like I would have been like 20, years old.
Yeah.
And I like took it super hard. I got super drunk, like puked at the Drake, like, you know, I mean, you know, wasn't feeling very good about it. Then the second time I was nominated, I really didn't think I was going to win at all, because it was like me and Drake.
Yeah.
It's 2012. Like, it was me, Drake, Grimes, who was my neighbor at the time. We were like pretty good friends
in Montreal.
In Montreal. And like, you know, like I heard her record before it came out. Like, I was one of the first people to hear it.
That's
like,
a sick record too.
Amazing record. Visions. That's like a classic, you know. And I, at the time I was like, I think people are going to really like this. I told her, and it was the understatement of the century.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, so I really didn't think I was going to win, and I didn't win, but it ended up being Feist that year.
But you can't complain about that.
Yeah. Hey, you know, Alberta connection, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, this time I felt more confident than I have before.
Okay.
Honestly, like I felt pretty confident. Like I mean, I just like really I went all out on this album. I like, you know, I feel like not even just the music, but I also, with my newsletter on Substack, you know, like I was writing a lot of like essays about each individual song, you know, and like really building a world around the album in a way that I never did before. And I just felt like there was nothing that people didn't understand about the record. Like, I felt like in the past I've had like, there's been a gap in understanding about like why I do certain things or whatever.
Okay.
But it didn't feel like that with this record. Like, and it felt very clear, and it felt like people were really getting it. And it felt like it was just the right record at the right time.
Yeah, it was definitely a record I spun the shit out of this summer. And I thank you for that, because I love it, man. And I've been obviously revisiting it over the last couple of days, and it's so good, dude. So I'm not surprised you were confident, but that almost seems like a gamble going into that third nomination confident. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like I went back and forth about it in my mind. Like, you know, that's the thing, is like, you know, one minute I was thinking I was going to win, but another time I was like, well, you know, anything can happen. It's a wacky and wild kind of ceremony. Like, it could be just that night people feel a different way. So I tried not to like I feel like in my career, like I've found a way to just not get too high or too low about anything, and just keep an even keel. And I think I really benefited from it.
Did you have a plan either way though? Like a reaction plan? Like, I better be prepared if I don't get this. How am I gonna handle this?
I was just gonna be really bummed. I think that was like my main plan. If I lost, I'd be bummed out. But then I was just like, well, in my mind, I was like, well, I'm just gonna make a way better record next time, so it's fine. Like,
but now that you've won it, do you still have that mentality? Now I want another one.
Oh, well, I don't need another one, because I got one.
One's good. All right.
Now I'm good, but I'm still already thinking like my next record is going to go crazier. Like, I just like love making music. So it's just really cool to like have something in my legacy where it's like, okay, I won a Polaris Prize, and it's like my name's up there with like Arcade Fire and like Buffy St. Marie and like just all these like iconic Canadian artists. And it feels good to be a part of that. Although people have been treating me like, it's like, well, aren't you already supposed to be there?
But, did it make, do you think that impacted your shows in the States?
I think it helps. It actually did help a little bit. Yeah. Like I would say it specifically helped with selling records. Just, you know, it's a thing just to tell people, it's like, yeah, this is confirmed best Canadian album of the year.
Now, does it help with your swagger? Like, do you get up on stage and like, this won a damn Polaris award, and I'm going to rock this even harder than I did before?
Yeah, it actually does. I mean, I didn't fail to mention it.
In between every song.
Yeah, that was the theme. I should have called it the Polaris Tour.
Well, again, congrats. I really feel like, and I've been following the Polaris Prize since I think Fucked Up won in, I don't know, it was like 2010 or something like that. And I really do appreciate that that prize and that long and short list for what I believe appears to be an increasing scope of music in Canada. And I feel like their jury continues to get better and better and more diverse and more accepting, more inclusive. And I'm sure you've seen the same, being there for three times over the last, 10, 15 years, 12 years?
Yeah. I mean, that's the craziest thing, is like, if I think back to the first year I was nominated, it's like night and day. Compared to this year. Like, the first year was like me and like New Pornographers, Broken Social Scene, Metric. You know, it was heavily weighted on indie rock.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean that was the music of that time for sure. But you know, you look today and it's just like, wow, way more diverse, but also musically diverse. Also like just way more like, you know, kind of groundbreaking, you know, outside of the box type music. And it's just, I feel like that is a testament, like the fact that I can win it now, but I didn't win back then is like, you know, I feel like I've always been doing this kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like now maybe the rest of the country has kind of found a way to appreciate it over time.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, it's a great list. Every one of those albums that made it to the short list is really, really cool. Very good stuff. Well, again, congrats. And that comes with these tour dates opening for July Talk. Have you played with them before?
No, I haven't. But it was really nice when they asked me to be a part of their Live at Last tour that they're doing. You know, like it's really cool. They like try to have different artists that are like connected to the different cities and stuff. And you know, when they were like, yo, do you want to come with me to play like Calgary and Edmonton? I was like, absolutely. Like that's gonna be fun. Like it's gonna be, you know, especially Edmonton is at the Jubilee. You know, and it's like my whole family's gonna be there. Like my sister's coming for Christmas, and it's, you know, it's gonna be like a really nice homecoming.
That's incredible, man. That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
I can't wait to see it.
Had your paths crossed with Pete before at all in Edmonton?
No, I don't think we were there at the same time, is the thing.
But he knew about you. That note he put out yesterday was real nice.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, like, I mean, that was when initially he reached out to me directly and was just like, you know, we have these shows and I'd love to have you in there. Like with the Edmonton connection, like it would mean a lot to me. And that was like why I decided to do it.
That's
was just
so
like,
cool.
Also because he had that personal touch.
Yeah, I loved seeing those openers. Was that yesterday they announced it, or last week, whenever it was? But I loved seeing those openers, and like you said, they're getting different artists kind of connected to the different cities they're playing. Like you've got an entire playlist of new music for someone that's unfamiliar with any of those openers, right? They're doing a really good job of broadening that as well. I think it's fantastic. So I cannot wait for those shows. I've never seen you live, but I'm excited.
Oh, I'm gonna go all out.
All right. And I'm going to be counting how many times you mentioned Polaris.
Yeah, I will mention.
What shows have you seen at the Drew before that you were sitting in the audience and going, man, I'd love to be on that stage?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Damn. The last time I would have been at the Jubilee. Oh, you know what? It was to see David Byrne.
Whoa.
I saw David Byrne at the Jubilee, and that was absolutely incredible. And David Byrne is a big inspiration to me.
Okay.
Like he's one of my favorite artists, and you know, it's just somebody who is a multi-hyphenate kind of, you know, like multidisciplinary artist who has been able to last the test of time and stuff. He's like my model for how to like be an artist, you know.
Cool.
And so saw him play. I bought his book there called Arboretum, and I was very inspired by the whole show.
Damn. All right. Not the answer I was expecting. I didn't know David Byrne had been through these parts before.
I didn't realize that either.
I know.
Very
that was
cool.
a very special evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's I can't imagine what it'll feel like to play there. But okay, so you get back from the American tour where there's rules in some places, there aren't rules in other places. You had a tweet last week or 2 weeks ago. It's frustrating that Ford Nation, which is, I can't even believe that's his Twitter handle, plans to remove proof of vax requirements in January that I just saw firsthand are allowing people in the States to go on with their lives. So like where's the disconnect? Have you figured it out? Have you figured out why we can't just take on this these tasks to make things easier and better that's already been proven south of us?
Well, you know, I think, you know, it's by design, man. Like it's like we know better, right? If you want to see how things are going to be here, look in England, look in the States, and
or Alberta.
It's going to be like that, or Alberta, and you know, you'll see what can happen. But yeah, I feel like just with the election next year, you know, he's just doing whatever to rile up his base.
Yeah.
And whether it makes sense or not, or it's logical or not, he doesn't seem to care. I've never experienced anything like this. And maybe, I guess I haven't been in Alberta for like the whole Kenny experience. So like, I can't really totally speak to it, but it's like, I've never seen a politician play so many games. Like it feels like he's playing games with people's lives all the time. And it's like, you know, it's like, yeah, we'll do the vaccine passport, but we'll only do it for a short amount of time and we'll get rid of it as soon as we can. It's just like you're wasting resources and it's just illogical. It's like, why don't you just do a good job for a long time, and then maybe people will reelect you because of that, instead of like, you know, he keeps doing like these kind of like dog whistle things for the real like super alt-right type, you know, anti-vaxxer like nut jobs and stuff. Like he's like, I really hope they vote for me. Like it's like power at any cost is what it feels like.
Yeah, and you say do your job, which at the very core is to just protect your people and ensure that their livelihoods aren't, you know, affected by a massive global health crisis.
But I mean, like for him, feels like his job is to like, okay, like how many like highways can I get built for like my buddies who have valuable land near the highways, and you know, it's just all about like quid pro quo. Like I could go on, but you know, that's why it's really important to me to be putting together some like voter registration events around the provincial election and the municipal election, and really informing people of like everything he's done. I'm going to have a huge board. It's like, I'm trying not to be partisan, but like, I'm going to have like, you know, boards with like everyone's like election promises and whatever, but also all the things that they've done. Yeah. Right. And it's like, if you were to see everything that Ford has done, I don't think anybody would want to vote for him. Yeah. It was a weird time too, where for the first, I'd say 6-8 months of the pandemic, people were like, oh, okay, he's doing some good stuff, and completely forgetting about everything else. I was trying to remember anybody who was saying he's actually doing a pretty good job.
He's like, actually a leader.
He's like, it's like the bar is in the fucking sewer, you know, like it's like, wow, like he did the most basic thing possible, and he showed up today. But I remember I was just like, just wait. Yeah. He's gonna fuck it up. So you've got a lot to focus on, a lot to pay attention out there with politics. Obviously, Ontario is unlike any other part of the country. Are you still able to follow along with, as you said, the Kenny experience, which I love, by the way? Yes, I try and stay tapped in. I've got lots of friends still out there. Yeah. You know, like I'm always watching. My fellow Albertans, I'm always watching. I'm always looking to see what's going on.
And not just so you'll help out with the election in Ontario, but you've got some plans maybe to help out in Alberta as well?
Yeah. No, I am. Oh, damn. Yeah. Crazy, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, I was still planning to do that. Yeah. Yeah, it's important. I feel like it's, you know, people feel so disenfranchised about voting and stuff, you know, and it's like, really it was over the pandemic when I just started like, I became way more politically engaged. Like I was reading a lot more about it. I was like watching like pathetically boring CBC, the National, and like just staying like up to date with what's going on. Yeah. And the more I learned, the more I realized I was like, okay, this is why they try and make it so boring. They don't want me to know what's going on. That's what I realized. I was like, oh, okay, it's boring on purpose. So it's like, okay, like if I can explain what's going on in a way that is like somewhat interesting, i.e. through music, maybe I can have some kind of impact. And I noticed that I did. I noticed that it actually worked. Yeah. Right. So it's like, how can I like enliven this entire enterprise? So it's like when I do these like voter registration events, it's going to be like rock the vote type stuff. I'm going to like have a bunch of bands come play. Yeah. And it's going to be like an outdoor like festival type event, you know? And it's like, there's going to be mad people with iPads and like registering people. And I'm going to be in specifically communities that are typically disenfranchised, you know, like in Toronto's like Parkdale, and like up in my neighborhood near Little Jamaica, like on Eglinton, like hitting those kind of places. And it's people who are maybe new Canadians or people who don't even know like, what does a city councilor do? Yeah. You know, that was the thing that like I didn't really understand the power that a city councilor has and how they exactly got elected. You know, it's like, because you look and it's like nobody votes for them. Yeah. Very few people actually are like, oh, let me pick a city councilor when I'm voting for like the mayor. And it's like these people win by like 100 votes or something, and they end up having this outsized control over everything that we do. Yeah, totally. Right. So like that's my thing, is like trying to get, you know, more progressively minded people elected in these kind of positions. And yeah, I guess I'm becoming a lobbyist. That's I mean, you don't sound like one of those nasty lobbyists though so far. No, I'm one of the good ones for now. Lobbying for people's knowledge and access to information. Let's see who wants to invest in me. Yeah, I'm in. Listen, before how good I am for now. Yeah. Rollie, we're given a 30-minute max on you. Are you running out of time here? I'm chilling, man. You know, if you got a couple more questions, it's fine.
Okay, cool. Well, man, I can't wait to see how that manifests. I'm very excited to see that. Do you ever get to talk about being the Poet Laureate of Edmonton?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I mean, it was a big part of my life.
How do you explain that to people who have zero idea what it means?
Oh, well, typically I say, you know, it's like I was the literary ambassador for my hometown. And that meant, you know, like I represent the city and the arts community in the city everywhere I go. And I would, you know, talk to children in schools, and, you know, people have come up to me recently, be like, yeah, you came to my school and talked about rap and poetry and stuff.
That's cool.
And it's like, oh, that's crazy that you'd like remember that. But yeah, I would do stuff like that. I'd go to like ribbon cuttings of like.
And how old are you when you're doing this? What?
I would have been 23, 24. Yeah.
Very cool.
And yes, and at the time, like I was the youngest poet laureate, I think.
Yeah, I remember reading that. Yeah.
But yeah, now you see people like Amanda Gorman and stuff in America, and I was like loving that. I was like, yeah, this is cool. I just love the idea of like opening up the barriers of like what poetry could be, or what like literature can be, or whatever. And, you know, it's like I find that all very fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like a very cool thing to have on your resume as well, like a life experience in your career specifically.
Yeah, it definitely makes me sound smart all the time.
Poet laureates, yes, exactly. And then I'm wondering, in Senna, you do say might bring an Alberta flag on Kimmel. That hasn't happened yet, has it?
That hasn't happened yet. I talked to my manager. He said we can make that happen.
Okay.
And so this is, you know, if John, if you listen to this, we got to make that happen. If I get on Kimmel, I will perform that song and bring an Alberta flag. That's awesome. It's just my thing is like that. Even before, you know, it got more politicized in recent years or whatever. I always wanted to do that. Like, you know, maybe like whatever it used to be Letterman. I wanted to go on Letterman and like do a tune and like have the Alberta flag. And it's like, yes, we're out here. We made it to TV, you know, like to me, it would be so inspiring if, you know, because like when I was a kid, there was nothing like that happening, you know?
For sure. For sure. And now it seems that, you know, the only way you're really getting Alberta on Kimmel is in the monologue jokes these days anyways. So for you to go on and represent in that way, I think is a much more positive impact.
For sure, man. Like that's my thing is like I'm trying to do, you know, Albertan pride. I'm trying to make people proud. I'm trying to like, you know, just show people another face of Alberta too. Is like, you know, like a lot of people, because there is that other side.
Oh yeah.
Like it's there.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I know that. I grew up there. I know the vibes.
And there's a lot of people that get painted with that brush though.
Exactly.
It's a perception that isn't necessarily accurate.
And it's even in this within Canada, which is like really weird. It's like, you know, we're supposed to know about each other within our own country. And it's like, I talk to people in Toronto and first off, they'll be like, are you from Winnipeg? Or like, they just like think it's all just like one place. They don't differentiate, but anything west of Thunder Bay is like just this amorphous blob to them. Like they don't really know.
Like the 1800s.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's like, are you from Lower Canada?
Have you ever been to Amber Valley?
I have never been to Amber Valley, but I'd love to go by, I guess, whatever the site of it is now. I don't know what's there.
Yeah.
But I find it fascinating.
It is fascinating. And I was looking a bit more into, you know, I'd heard of Africville. I didn't know about Amber Valley or Hogan Valley. Hogan Valley's in BC, right?
Yeah, Hogan's Alley is in Vancouver.
Right.
Yeah.
But so dumb, but like reading through the Wikipedia for Africville specifically, and like how this community was essentially cut off from all sort any infrastructure, resources. The fact that we're still having that conversation today, it's kind of fucked up.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, and it makes you wonder like why this happens to certain communities.
Certain communities.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a crying shame that we still have situations like that with Indigenous people in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's brutal. Needs to change too. There's no reason. I don't understand why.
Yeah, it doesn't add up. Well, yeah. Anyways, I do want to say thank you for some education in a very short 2-minute song. to kick off Parallel World because I was unfamiliar with Amber Valley and Hogan Valley. And when I realized that, just a few hours from here is what's described as a ghost town that represents, a sad time, but an amazing success for a certain community. I want to go see whatever remains of Amber Valley. I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I hope there's like a plaque or something or some
There's
kind
got
of
to be
information.
something.
Yeah, I mean, like that was the whole reason why I made the song was, to get people thinking about it and as an example of Black Canadian history, because I never learned it in school. They weren't teaching me that at like St. FX. I didn't get any of that information. But then it's like now when I'm doing my own research and I'm just like, wow, there were like Black people in Canada before like my grandfather got there. Like I didn't know that, right? So
where did your grandfather come from?
He's from the States.
Okay.
Yeah. Like my grandparents on all sides came from the States.
Okay. And straight to Edmonton, straight to Alberta.
Well, my grandfather, he played for the Edmonton Elks.
Damn. Okay. Cool.
And that's why my family's all from Edmonton. Like Rollie Miles. It's who I'm named after. There's a field at Scona.
Oh, sick, man.
Named after him. And so yeah, that's like why my entire family lives there.
Shit.
That's great.
Then you found something about Rollie's dad?
Your dad was a radio DJ in Edmonton?
That's right. Yeah, on CJSR.
On CJSR, wicked. And
what's CJSR?
That's go ahead.
It's the college radio station.
Okay.
And he had a show for over 20 years called the Black Experience and Sound. And he was basically the first person to play rap on the radio in Alberta. And for a long time, like even before people really knew my music, they knew my dad. And people were like, oh, like you're Teddy's son. Like Teddy Pemberton was his name. So yeah, he's definitely, he was inducted in the Stylist DJ Hall of Fame posthumously. And like, yeah.
That's incredible.
Like when you were talking about podcasts earlier and connecting, and like I'm listening to my friend. I still work in radio, so I'm like, I mean, that's the original radio, right? Like that's you listen to have friends for that companionship.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Yeah, for sure. And it was a big like to do in Edmonton. I remember because back then it wasn't like the internet was really popping like that yet, and for a lot of people that was how you heard rap.
Yeah.
You either watch Rap City on Much Music or you listen to my dad's radio show on Saturday night, and that was how you're going to hear the new rap.
So you were just raised with this immense knowledge of that culture, that music scene.
Yeah. It was like I grew up in a library of that music.
Oh man, that's very, very cool.
Well, and I know we got to let you go right away, but I see that record collection behind you, and that leads me to thinking like, what's all in there?
Yeah,
like boy,
a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of different stuff. I love records. I love DJing. I think of myself as like a music archivist, and that's like why I want to like tell like these like historical stories and like bring things back, because it's like I feel like even just my record now is a part of history. It's like people come back to that, because of what I put in it, and there's like I just love the idea of like lineage and legacy and stuff like that. So,
can you and Jacques Green just continue making music together for the rest of my life?
I think that's a great idea. I mean, like me and Jacques Green, he's one of my best friends. Love the guy. Honestly, I've never had a better musical connection with like any person. It's like every time we get together, good things happen every time we meet, like Outkast would say. And we have more songs that like haven't come out yet that are, in my opinion, like big bangers.
That's unacceptable.
I know. It's that's the funny thing with music. It's like it takes a long time for stuff to come out sometimes. But
okay, two more things very quick. First of all, we finally got the Martin Lawrence Blue Streak references we deserved.
Okay, great. I'm glad you clocked that.
Finally, man. Like I remember watching that movie. It was on TBS. Felt like all day long. It would be Blue Streak. I forget the other one he did with Steve Zahn.
Yes, yeah, I know what you mean. I can't think of it right now. But
Life with Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. Blue Streak though, that was great. So,
well, I want to just like break down that reference though.
Please do.
Because it's kind of like an obscure reference.
Okay.
So it's like I'm not even specifically talking about the movie, but it's more about around when he was filming it in real life. There was that incident. I don't know if you remember this, when he was in LA and he was like running through the streets and like in a robe.
Yeah.
And he had a gun, and he was like, the government's trying to kill me, and like he was having like he was freaking out, you know. He was suffering from exhaustion, as they say. And like, you know, and for me that was like, okay, like fame can really drive you crazy, right? And that was like just like my way of saying that, like, sometimes like it feels like Martin on Blue Street, because like that was the next thing he did. I think he was like, okay, like I've got my stuff together and I'm gonna make this movie. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you gonna be okay? You know? Yeah.
That's amazing. All right. This you might not want to answer this, but you said you live in Little Jamaica in Toronto, is that it?
Yeah.
Are you willing to divulge the best roti in Toronto?
Yeah, I mean it's a spicy question.
It is.
sometimes literally spicy.
Yeah.
Depending on the kind of roti you get.
Yeah.
I have my own lineage, my own like preference. What I would say is Island Foods is my number one roti in the GTA.
All right.
Everyone has different opinions. I actually used to really like this place, and they closed, Bacchus, which was on Queen Street. And I thought they were really good. Like you get some pumpkin in there, and like it was quite good. But yeah, like just in my neighborhood, it's hard to, in my opinion, get a decent roti. I wouldn't get a roti around here.
Oh damn!
No, you wouldn't get. You get the jerk chicken around here. You get like rice and peas. You can get in my opinion, the best beef patty here.
Okay,
that you can get. But roti, you're gonna want to go around the orbiting places that are not like in Toronto proper. Yeah, like a decent roti.
I grew up getting it in Oakville.
That's a wonderful place to get a roti.
There's this really, really killer spot there. And then I moved to Alberta, and I think it took me like 3 or 4 years before I realized that this new restaurant opened right by my house called Simply Irie. And I ran to this place.
Hell yeah.
To try their roti, and it was just like when you get to taste something or experience something like a memory feel, sense, whatever. It's great. So what about Edmonton then?
Oh, to get a roti?
Yeah. Is it like is that something you did growing up?
Well, it's like my dad used to always go to this one Jamaican restaurant that was like kind of on Gateway. Like it was like not, I don't remember ever really having a roti there though.
Okay. All right.
It was hard to come by. Like the only Jamaican people I knew was the guy who cut my hair at Ebony and Ivory, Neville. He's been cutting my hair I'm gonna get I won't get my hair cut by him because he's getting old. And the last time I got my hair cut by him, he really fucked up my head.
Just wait till those shows are over.
Yes, it's like, I can't have these big homecoming shows with like fucked up fade. Like, no.
Pete, anything else?
I have been staring at it the whole time too. I noticed there's a water and food dish by those records. Who belongs to the water and food dish?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is our cat in the house. We have a cat. His name is Paddington Bear.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And he will only eat or drink if it's by my records.
Is that right?
Damn. Yeah. He likes it just right over there.
Exactly where I'd want to hang out too. So
does he require a record to be on?
No, but we just noticed that he just vibes with that area.
That's amazing.
Cool cat.
Well, it's been a real pleasure chatting with you, man, and congrats on just an amazing year, like an incredible year.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here. It's I always love to vibe with Alberta folks.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We'll see you when you roll through town with July Talk.
Yeah, for sure. Say what's up.
All right, peace, man.
Awesome. See you, man.
Bye. See you guys.
Well,
you worked really, really, really hard to make that one happen.
Yeah, it was the first time in this process of us trying to get people to join us on the road the stage where I went a little desperate. And I mean, I never want to use the word harassment, but I definitely sent out a number of emails back and forth with the same person. So I guess shout out to Ola. Thank you so much, Ola, for setting this up.
Sometimes you have to be a little persistent.
You do. And I feel bad about it because, we don't want people to feel pressured to come on the road the stage. The nice thing is that even if they are pressured, and we've maybe assumed that's been the case with a couple of our interviews, we never feel bad about it at the end.
Right.
And that was my big concern with this week, was that we'd bugged Cadence and his whole team 100 times since the spring to get him on the show, And this was just a, okay.
Fine,
all right.
I'll throw these guys a bone.
But I think he had a good time.
I think he had a really good time.
And
that was honestly one of my favorite chats that I've had, because that is a genre that's a little outside of where I would normally dip my toes into.
Yeah.
Although I really enjoyed that album.
Yeah, it's very good.
And specifically about what he's got to say is very important. But the beat, that's one thing we didn't quite get into that I'd like to, a second shot at talking to him about, is the creation of the beats.
And the production
behind everything. Because it's one thing to have that message that's getting a lot of attention, but it's in how you packaged it.
Totally.
That helps it get out there as well.
I couldn't believe that Grimes story that he told. That's so fucking cool. Like, oh my God. He's been around for a while. He's seen some cool shit, and very appreciative that he showed up today on the road the stage.
And I think we see him in a role outside of
it's very possible
at some point in time.
Piqued my interest for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have a chance, go see him open for July Talk December 18th and 19th in Calgary and Edmonton.
Jube in both?
Edmonton and Calgary. I think so. No, Grey Eagle.
Grey Eagle
in Calgary, which is the one that I think I'll be going to. So I can't wait. And yeah, that was just a great chat.
All right, episode 32
in
the books. We'd like to make an episode 33, and it helps if people subscribe.
And
follow, share, comment.
Yeah, let us know what's up. We have an email. We have DMs.
We do have an email.
theroadthestage@gmail.com.
We ever said the email?
Send us your hate mail. Send us your junk mail. We should actually get a P.O. box so people can send us their junk mail that they don't want.
You suck.
Yes, exactly. Something like that.
We're good with that.
Go listen to Cadence Weapons Parallel World. Shout out to producers Ryan and Riley at Communal Creative Studios for making this happen.
Sawback Brewing Company, Tourism Red Deer, Bo's Bar and Stage, and Go Services, Inc.
And our next episode, like you said, 32, comes out on Wednesday.
The Road the Stage is produced by Ryan Cooley and Riley Sir Yin at the Communal Creative Studios in Red Deer, Alberta. In partnership with Go Services, Inc., Sawback Brewing Co., Tourism Red Deer, and Bo's Bar and Stage.